Good morning to all of you. Welcome to our Tuesday session here at Namaste Village. We are entering into the Namaste experience. We talk about experience a lot. In other words, not trying to understand something intellectually, but to know that which forever knows us. To not just believe something, but to feel and then radiate what we know. And so this is what we do here every day. We join together so that we can support one another. And in supporting each other, the support beneath each one of us lifts and rises. And we are brought into that holy, sacred experience of being fully wide awake. So this morning, I want to share a couple of things to start, and then I want to show you something that I found here. If you don't know, I'm in Minneapolis at my family's home, and I think maybe I shared yesterday that one of the things about being here at my family's home is you can go into a room like I am here right now and go over to the dresser, pull out a drawer, and it's still got the stuff in it that was in it when I was 16. Nothing's changed. Nothing has been moved. Yesterday, I was going through a little box that was in one of the drawers, and I found letters that had been written to me by former classmates back in 1976. That was really fun to see that. So these things remain. They are with us still, just as the love of God forever remains and is still within us, quiet and still within us now. But in order for that stillness to ripen and to be released, there is mind training that we undergo. There is even sometimes the smashing of the grapes to reveal that sacred wine that we have to go through. And so I want to share at the very beginning here just a quick poem by Rumi. I shared a poem by Rumi yesterday, and I was going through some files and I found another one that I love. And this is a translation from Andrew Harvey, a dear friend. And I want you to really hear this because this is perhaps one of my favorite selections from a Rumi poem. And I think even though it may be difficult to hear, it's so important. This is what Rumi says. The grapes of my body can only become wine after the winemaker tramples me. I surrender my spirit like grapes to his trampling, so that my inmost heart can blaze and dance with joy. I surrender my spirit like grapes to God's trampling, so that my inmost heart can blaze and dance with joy. Although the grapes go on weeping blood and sobbing, I cannot bear any more anguish, any more cruelty. The trampler stuffs cotton in his ears. I am not working in ignorance. You can deny me if you want. You have every excuse, but it is I who am the master of this work. And when through my passion you reach perfection, you will never be done praising my name. The trampler. That's a very strange way to think of God, but that's often how it manifests in our life. We're sometimes being trampled under the feet of the divine, which turns our anguish into wine. But to deny that, to run from that, to avoid that, the spiritual bypass that we so often do just with intellectual ideas, does not help. We have to surrender and to know that the trampler is the master of this great work. So whatever you are going through, if it's difficult, if it's challenging, if you feel like you're being trampled beneath the feet of the divine, just be grateful, because the wine that is emerging from you, from the essence of who you are, is unlike anything you've ever experienced before. Something else that I want to share is, as we dive deeper into this, is I was just reading a small section before the session began of the lesson today from the Enlightenment Partner program. As you know, I have a 3-month coaching program that I offer. We usually have 3 or 4 people at one time who are going through this, who I meet with every day, and we have these very deep lessons to help this trampling be even deeper, to go even deeper. So this is a section from today's lesson. Since God is love, and love is all that exists, you are wholly contained within the love of God. Once again, this is one of the most important things we could ever hear. Since God is love and love is all that exists, you are wholly contained within the love of God. That's all there is. You are wholly contained within all there is. Accept no compromise to this law. Do you see how every problem you've ever had comes from this compromise? Believing that there is some other reality other than love, some other experience other than the trampling of the divine to bring you into that perfect state of love? God's one law is unshakable and beyond your ability to change. Only love is real. This is God's one unshakable law beyond any ability that you have to change or alter or anything at all, except accept, embrace, and share. Only love is real. In your arrogance, you decided that you can achieve the impossible. But the impossible is what it is because it is not real and never will be. So just remember, only love is real. Be uncompromising with this. Don't accept any compromise to the simple truth and reality that is the foundation of who you are. Only love is real. So that being said, just a few minutes ago, right before the session started, I walked over here just a few feet away to this little bookshelf that, once again, the same books have been on there for decades. But I did find one book that has been on there for decades that caught my attention. And it's this book right here. It's the original copy, the original first edition of Emissary of Light, my first book. And it was inscribed to my parents. It says to Mom and Dad. And it was just sitting here on the shelf. So I picked it up and I opened it up. And this is what I came to. And it dovetails so perfectly into everything else we've shared, because the whole lesson is about love. That's the only lesson we're here to learn, and to be uncompromising with that. So this is a short section from Emissary of Light. The final lesson you're here to learn is about the true meaning of love. I've said before that fear is the self-imposed block to the awareness of love's presence. When fear is released, love is revealed. And yet, the true experience of love is beyond anything that you can now imagine. It is beyond the thought or the idea of love. It lies past all the images and symbols you've made to obscure love's call. And yet, it is closer than you know, closer than your breath, or even the silent whisper of love's longing for itself. And what is the secret that love has whispered into your half-closed ear? The distant echo that has haunted you so? Only this: you are the very essence of love. You. this very moment, just as you are, in spite of all the preconceived ideas that you have of yourself, love claims and accepts you. Once again, because only love is real. And if that's true, then any idea or even experience that I think I'm having to the contrary isn't. That's all we need. That's the whole lesson. Embrace what is, let go of what isn't. And if only love is real, and I am the very essence of that love, if love claims and nurtures me in this very moment, what else is there to do but to claim that which has always claimed me? That's how simple this reality is. But let's read a little bit more. You have forgotten who you are because in your fear of losing love, you've withheld that which is your foundation. You've withheld love. Love by its nature is a gift which is freely given. And yet this gift is known only as it is given again. Only when love is breathed from one heart to another is it fully experienced. When love is withheld, it is forgotten. And because you and love were born together, you are forgotten with her. Let me read that one more time. When love is withheld, it is forgotten. And because you and love were born together, you are forgotten with her. You have forgotten yourself because you are love, because love is all there is. She is hidden within you beside the still forgotten memory of your truest self. Though asleep and dreaming, she awaits the dawn when her name is called and she is again given back to life. And the awakening of love is your awakening as well, so intimately linked, all from giving freely that which you are, the full awareness of love's presence, all from giving freely that which you are, the full awareness of love's presence. But this awakening requires that you willingly give up all the ways you have tried to limit and contain her, all the ways you've tried to limit or contain love. You cannot guide love's path, but if you submit to love's truer vision, she will guide you, showing you a new vision of you, showing you a new vision of you, who you really are, who you've always been, who you couldn't stop being, no matter how hard you've tried. And you've tried very hard. We've all tried very hard to forget that holy, sacred vision of love that claims us now and always. And we try to hold it at arm's length, thinking that if we could just keep it out there somewhere in a relationship, in a situation in our lives, then I won't have to deal with where the single problem really is, the only real problem I could ever have, that I have forgotten who I am, that I am love, because love is all there is. How simple is salvation? And so we come here 5 days a week just to remind each other of this simple call, this simple reality, this simple truth that claims us now. So I think maybe for the rest of the week, I'll skim through this little book that I wrote. I remember when I was having this experience, I had moved to Boston to hang out with Vicky, and then one day I announced to her, I'm going to Bosnia and Croatia. I decided that a peace troubadour should be willing to go to where peace is needed. And so that's what I did. I got on a plane. I flew over there and had this amazing experience with the emissaries of light in the mountains of Bosnia and Croatia. That became it was the very beginning of it all. I came back to Boston, didn't really know what I was going to do with any of this. This was in 1995. Well, the experience was in 1995, so almost 30 years ago. Yes, almost 30 years ago now. And I came back not knowing what I was to do with this grand adventure, because the emissaries, everything that you just heard, everything else that they shared, they said, really, here's what I want you to say to people. You're ready for this. You are ready. You don't need to do anything else to get ready. There are no more books for you to read. There's nothing else that you need to claim, nothing else you need to do. You are ready right now to experience the embrace of love's presence, which is in you now and always. So I finally, actually, the first thing I did was I wrote a song. I thought maybe I can get off easy, write a song, which was called It's Just a Matter of Love. But then I went to, I don't know if Baraka is in the room now. Baraka is often with us, but Baraka will certainly remember that I wrote this book on a little computer, an Apple computer that he let me borrow. I went out to hang out with him on Peaks Island off the coast of Portland, Maine. And I thought, what the heck? I may as well write this down. In fact, I'll tell you one quick story before we bring Vicky on. So I wrote the entire book in 2 weeks. I just sat down at Baraka's computer, couldn't stop writing until I got it all done. It just flew out, just remembering all of these talks that I had with the teacher. And then I was at Vicky's house in Quincy, Massachusetts, and we used to have a little Course in Miracles center called Heaven's Gate, right around the corner from a bookstore. And so I was over at this bookstore with a friend, and we were just walking around through the store, and I was telling her about this book that I had just written, and I had no idea what to do to get it out there, to find an agent or a publisher or whatever. And when we went up to the counter, the woman behind the counter, whose name was Kathy, had overheard the conversation, and she asked me a little bit more about this manuscript. I told her a little bit about it. And she said, well, you know, my best friend, whose name is Sandy, she actually is a literary agent. And I think this is a book that she might like. So why don't you give me that copy and I'll get it over to her today. Well, by the next day, Sandy had read it and sold it to this original publisher. It was a small company called Aslan Company Publishing. He sold it the next day. It came out in this version, and then it was ultimately bought out by Warner Books, a bigger publisher. That's how it happened, and it just goes to show. So it took 2 weeks to write it, 2 days to get a publisher. It just goes to show what happens when you embrace love's presence and know that you are ready for this. The world is ready for this because I am ready for this, and you are ready for this. Therefore, there is nothing but readiness to realize only love is real right here, right now. So, Vicky, I don't know how much of that story you remember, probably a lot, but I'm going to turn it over to you and hear what you have to say.
Thank you, Brother James. And I remember it all. I remember it in great detail. I remember when you came back. I remember when you went for a walk around the block, literally just around the corner, and met Sandy. And then you brought her, and we all met Sandy. But what I want to say is, when we had, that was such a great example, as your life has been a great example of when we only move to the song of love in our heart, everything we need comes to us. Just the way I look now at Namaste Village and I see all the brothers in chairs, there was no way to organize or arrange that. That was stepping into love and letting love direct the way, letting love bring together all the things that need to come together to open and broaden a greater experience of love. And whether it's been this book or other books, I don't know if I ever have known of a book that took you more than 2 weeks to write. Usually you just sit down and there you have it. Because for whatever reason we are all grateful for, your mind has always, as long as I've known you, years before this, been open to that Christ presence, which is called love, to that true identity. Not that we don't all, and you didn't also veer off it. We all have done that. That's why we're here. But when you open to love, it has always been there. And that's a great example for each one of us. Wherever in our lives, we let love be our everything. Love be our everything without opposite. Everything comes in to support it. So whether it's housing or people we need or money we need, it all just shows up. And by our flexibility and being kind of open, we are led and given all the right routes to take to let love continue to express through us. But what I wanted to say is that there are two ways to come into the full realization of love. And that's just kind of standard, by fire or by water, by grace or by fire, by terror. And we have been given both options, all of us. And together every day, we practice the option of love. We practice filling the cup, our listening, our being, our everything, with experiences and examples of love, and letting every fear and everything be washed away and flushed out. The other way, by fire, is also helpful. I don't know if it's always necessary. It has been for me and for most of us, where we're particularly attached to something that has limits around it, whether it be a relationship or a job or something, but we're attached to some outcome and it has limits around it. And that's another expression of our body identification. And then it becomes like we've got to break the spell of being attracted to something, what Jesus calls special, rather than to everything. We've given up everything and substituted it for some little special idea. And the way we break this spell, and what Jesus does so beautifully in the Course in Miracles, he gave us a workbook for purification. He says, don't run away from the time of terror when you're frightened more than anything to let go of something, some goal, some situation. That's the very moment that you will receive the greatest help, where you will break the spell of limited identity and open up to the natural fullness of love and presence that we already are. And that's the place we do help each other. We are mirrors to help one another remember that love is our reality. But we don't help one another when we worry for one another. I have a dear sister in Boston, Lee Catalano, and she always said a line, I'm not going to remember it perfectly, but the essence of it is, when we worry about our brother, we're planning his demise. That's a very strong thing to say, because if we worry about our brother, we are identifying our brother as a body separated from God, separated from grace, a victim of a world that's surrounding him, who could be hurt, who could be trampled, and we're identifying ourselves with that. So we have identified willingly in the name of love, but not love. Love does not do this. Love does not identify in separation from God. See how the ego's bait can slip right in? The ego will identify with terror and with situations that are crushing and identify with it and think that we are doing a great beneficent giving when we worry about someone, but we are planning their demise and our own. What we are called to do right there is break the spell. Break that spell. Recognize our feelings of fear that have come up for us. Look at them, welcome them. This is a purification of my own identity as separate from God and wanting to be separate still. So this is for my healing. Let me see my brother truly. So this is a moment to feel the terror myself, not run to a solution. That's what we often do as a distraction to stay in the problem. We run to fix something for someone else, for ourselves. That's a way to keep the problem. If we really want love, to come in and correct everything. We have to throw it up in the air, welcome all the feelings. And this is what Jesus calls trust, foundation of trust. We have to trust that love is all there is. We have to be willing to trust by staying out of the way, going through the time of terror ourselves. That's when I, take to my bed. I was like, okay, here I am. And let it pass and wait until love is restored. And we are identifying again with only one thing, with love. And when love becomes restored in us, we know it, because then we're inspired. We're inspired to speak or say or do or whatever it is, whatever the next action, whatever the next anything is. And it's always, always helpful. I don't want to say any more because I'm looking at the time and want to give Calico a chance. Anyway, so I'll just say that for now. I love you all. I love you all. See you tomorrow.
Beautiful. As always, Vicky. So Calico, step right in. Guide us home. Calico, are you there? Okay. Well, what I'll say then to close this is I have, as you can see, a number of tattoos, but I have one in particular. Where is it? I can't. Okay. I don't know if you can see Amor Fati, which one possible translation is I love it. Amor Fati means loving your fate. In other words, loving whatever is happening, loving whatever is right there in front of you, giving your whole heart to it, wrapping your arms right around it. Don't hold anything back. And if you can do that, then you will move through even the most distressing scenes or sets. Like they're all like movie sets. They're all like a set on a stage. You'll move through them all into that embrace of love's presence. So I see Scott is sitting there, and I'm wondering, Scott, are you there to share something here to close us out?
Yes, I'm channeling Calico right now.
Good luck.
Actually, let's do a good luck, right? Let's just do a song. Whether by fire. Oh, I see that the music thing is off. I'm just going to turn that on. All right. Whether by fire, water, or grace, I let myself be trampled by love's embrace. And whatever I need to face, I won't reach for solutions, only grace. I love my fate wherever it goes. No need to worry about the undertow. Let it take me out to sea. Let it take me to the mystery. Whether by water or by fire, I'm only left with one single desire: to be trampled into God. Whether the path is easy, does it, or is hard? Whether easy, does it, or it's hard?
Wow.
Perfect. Perfect, perfect, as always. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Vicky. Thanks to all of you. Yes, I remember it's Tuesday. That's why Calico wasn't there. She always slips in the back so she can get up to the Tuesday market. early. You guys got to come visit us in Mexico so you can experience the Tuesday market and everything else. But for now, we love you. We're so grateful that you are here with us. God bless all of you. Let's step into love now. There's nothing left for us to do, so why not? Have a beautiful day, everyone. And we say together, Amen,
Amen.
Amen,
Amen.
Amen,
Amen.
y
Punto.
punto. Have a beautiful day. We love you. Bye-bye.
Keep them